So I've been playing a lot of Tekken 8 like the rest of the fighting game community, and I've been having a blast exploring the different game modes, learning more things about the game, trying out different characters, all the stuff you would expect. However, one stream I got asked a very particular question that got me thinking about my Tekken journey thus far up until this point. I got asked, how different is it learning a Tekken game from a 2D fighting game? And at the time, I don't know, I didn't have a good answer for him, but as a 2D anime fighting game player, I began to ponder this question. What exactly were the surprising truths I discovered about Tekken 8 as a new player coming from 2D anime fighting games such as Melt Your Blood, Guilty Gear Strive, and Grand Blue Fantasy vs. Rising, just to name a few? Okay, first off, let's start off with the obvious answer, the Z-axis. Now, this isn't necessarily surprising as I knew what I was getting myself into, but this completely changes things because all of a sudden you're not playing in just a 2D space anymore, and this entirely deviates you from your perception of how fighting games should function, because, well, now we have sidesteps. What is a sidestep, you may ask? The sidestep is the act of moving towards or away from the camera in a 3D space, as most 3D games will make this style of movement a core strategy to learn, since you can make moves with in ways that you can't if you're locked in a 2D plane. In a game like Tekken, for example, you might hear sidestep left or sidestep right to indicate which of your own shoulders a character is stepping towards. This fundamentally changes things because all of a sudden, versus certain characters' most powerful moves, they may be weak to being stepped in a certain specific direction. Or take this for example, your opponent does a move that is slightly negative on block, like say -3 for example. So now is your time to take your turn, right? Wrong. You see, in Tekken, sidesteps also dictate the offensive and defensive strategies in the game. Just because your opponent is slightly negative on block doesn't mean it's exactly your turn to press a button. Should you jab check them to take your turn, which would lose to a sidestep? Or do a homing attack and fear the sidestep but is too slow and will lose to them simply jabbing back? The mind games applied in Tekken that can be established off a single jab are pretty poetic and some of the best interactions I've experienced in a fighting game. Now, naturally, you may think the next thing I will want to talk about is the movement, right? And you'll be right, just not in the sense you may think. You see, Tekken does something to me that no other fighting game I've ever played has done, and it all comes down to one little acronym that isn't really used much inside of the fighting game community. That acronym is APM, or actions per minute. Tekken is a franchise that prides itself on its neutral and movement interactions. That is usually due to the dance between the opponents of sidestepping, running forward, and then backdashing a fish for reactions from the opposing player. Now, let's talk about how any of these actions are actually done. To dash forward, you simply tap forward twice. Well, okay, nothing crazy there. To sidestep, you simply flick your arcade stick in the direction you want to go, or for you pad players out there, you simply tap the direction you want to go. Want to go to the background? Tap up. Want to go to the foreground? Tap down. Okay, cool. Still nothing crazy here. And the backdash, you simply tap back twice and your character will perform a backdash. Okay, so how do you do this? This is known as the Korean backdash, or KBD for short. This is an advanced movement technique that allows you to create space between you and your opponents even faster by canceling the animation of one backdash into a crouching animation and then into another using the game buffering system. Now, KBDs are tough for many beginners, and I will admit that it definitely took me some time as well. However, that is not even the main issue here, and this issue may just be for my arcade stick brethrens out here. The issue is the APM is so freaking wrist demanding. I mean, seriously, when I first started and I realized how much double tapping forward, back, down, and up goes in a match, I could not believe how tired my wrist was getting. I seriously had to take breaks and then start a training warm-up regimen to increase my wrist endurance. Nowadays, it's not a problem, but the first few days of the game, I could not believe how demanding this was to my wrist. No other fighting game I've played has this many actions per minute, and it definitely showed. Now, this next one may come pretty obvious to you all, but I seriously cannot wrap my head around the science of why this is happening. As you all may know by now, Tekken 8 is a game comprised of 3 properties of attacks: highs, mids, and lows. High attacks are generally faster and safer on block, but can be ducked. Mid attacks cannot be ducked and usually have some of the character's strongest combo starters in the game naturally without counter hits. However, lows usually make up a small amount of characters' move list, but sometimes can be powerful, slow launching combo starters known as snake edges. Because of this, by design, the default defensive state within Tekken is to stand block and react or guess to the few low attacks that characters have at their disposal. Now, coming from 2D anime fighters, this is the complete opposite. Overheads in 2D anime fighters are typically slower and more rare in characters' toolkits than mids in a Tekken character's toolset. So what does any of this have to do with the surprising truths to this blocking section of Tekken 8? Turns out, yeah, I can't block these lows worth a damn. I'm not gonna lie to you. Just snake edge me all day. I promise I'll look free 100%. But no, seriously, this really got me thinking. Why is that? Why is it that some extremely slow attack, slower than the time it takes to get to the action in a Dragon Ball Z episode, always keeps clipping me? Now, there's only two logical conclusions I could come up with. First one simply being muscle memory. I mean, well, hey, maybe I just don't have the muscle memory for stand blocking to ducking really fast, as opposed to ducking and standing really fast. A small change in my basic defensive strategy I've been doing for my whole 10+ year career of playing fighting games. And the other? Well, that leads to my next topic, Tekken move readability. Tekken is a game with a lot of moves, and I mean a ton of moves. If you take Street Fighter for example, Street Fighter is a 6-button fighter comprised of 3 punch buttons and 3 kick buttons. If you consider that these buttons also have crouch variants, that will give you a total of 12 attacks, cause 6 times 2. I know, quick math. Characters typically have about 4 to 5 special moves, and even if we throw in some command normals while we're at it, this move list wouldn't come nowhere near close the size of Tekken characters' move list. I mean, we're talking 1/3 to 1/4 the size. So what does any of this have to do with the readability of Tekken? Well, because Tekken has a lot of moves, and moves often have similar starting points to do their strings and the variants, it makes the game for a beginner to the franchise a lot less readable. I mean, seriously, how many times have you fought a Hwoarang player, a Victor player, or hell, even a Bear player and consistently yell out, "What the fuck's going on?" For the first time in my fighting game career, I cannot visually see a move and tell you what it could possibly be. A Street Fighter crouching medium kick looks like a crouching medium kick. A crouching light button in Grand Blue Fantasy vs. Rising looks like a crouching light attack. However, I cannot tell you what is being pressed in Tekken at first glance. A more experienced player would be able to guess the start of a string of a button by simply looking at the starting limb, but as it gets mirrored on the opposite side due to this being, well, a 3 game, that's a little far out for me. Okay, so you guys probably been getting a kick out of this video so far, but now it's time to talk about you guys. It's time to talk about the Tekken community, the player base. You guys are the worst mashers I have ever seen, and I mean seriously, are we really mashing on hit? Is that really what we doing? But also, you guys are surprisingly really patient, and maybe some of the most patient players I have ever seen in a fighting game. I mean seriously, I'm very surprised at how patient the intermediate level Tekken players are. You guys will dance with your opponent on the screen for as long as it takes to find what you believe to be the perfect opening or spacing. Well, most of you anyway, but also you guys are just awesome. This has been one of the most welcome communities I have joined, and also have received my fair share of wholesome messages, along with players who are just raring to get more games and to improve their play. It's just great. Tekken 8 is a great game, and Tekken as a franchise is a series I respect. Although my childhood memories of Tekken may be faint, I can see why this is one of the longest running franchises in fighting game history. I mean, I don't know, it just has this aura about it, this hypeness to every match, complete with its stunning visuals, an amazing library of music thanks to the jukebox mode that makes every match frustratingly fun and have me always like,
"Thanks a lot. Fuck you, and I'll see you tomorrow. Fucking idiot."
Anyway, that's all I have for this one. I just really wanted to share my thoughts on learning Tekken as a 2D anime fighting game player. This was going to be a sit down video, but I thought, why not try out more videos in this new format? Seriously, if you like these type of videos, definitely let me know down in the comments below. It definitely helps me out as far as what to make for you guys. I definitely want to hear what you guys think about this type of stuff. As always, if you like anything I had to say, drop me a like, I greatly appreciate it. And if you have more from me, follow my socials. Also, join our Discord if you want to hang out with our growing community of eager gamers trying to improve. I'm also always in there hanging and helping out, so you can always expect somebody to answer your questions. And of course, don't forget to subscribe so you don't know when the next video goes live. As always, my name is Daikin, and I'll see you next time. Signing out.